welcome to Tell You Later, the show where we guarantee a laugh or your money back.
Thanks to all those who support us on Patreon. By the way, there's always room for more.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to their channel.
We haven't got a title song for this show, so we're singing this thing instead.
Okay.
It's really just a substitute. Nonetheless, the melody may stay in your head.
Oh, I hope so.
'Cause it's a tune.
It's a tune.
You'll love to croon.
You'll love to croon.
Ah, but there's one thing you should know. We have to confess we do not possess a title song for this show.
Ain't it peculiar?
Believe it or not, we haven't got a title song for this show.
Oops.
Michael comes back 3 years later, and he wrote 4 Biffle and Shooster shorts, and we were going to film them in 5 weeks.
Now, did you ever record any in shorts?
Anyway?
Any of those in shorts? Were you actually wearing shorts?
Oh, underneath the pants. Yeah.
Oh.
I tried to get away with wearing them over my pants, but it looked strange. But anyway, I did dress as Biffle's wife. I mean, as Schuster's wife in one of them, Imitation of Wife. But we shot 5 weeks. And the first one, I'll never forget working with Robert Forster, who was Banyan on TV when I was a kid, and he was nominated for an Oscar, and Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown, and just a great career. And he played it like, like the straight actors in Airplane.
Yes.
Yeah, he was just like that. He didn't crack, he didn't break, you believed every word. It was fantastic. So we got to do these, and Will and I also added a what's known as a Vitaphone short, meaning about 7 to 10 minutes, early sound, and it's like one shot, you nail the camera down, the sound is bad. You would never know it wasn't a Vitaphone short. So we got to do that. And on the DVD, there's about 1 million outtakes, and you cry. It's so funny. It's just so funny.
And he also invited the Saguaro sisters, or I don't know what they called themselves in your movie, if it was the Starlight Sisters, because they would do that.
The
Saguaro sisters.
They did Sand with Will, one of his best songs.
Yeah.
In Schmobo, that was our musical.
That's show business. Yes. That's Schmo business.
That's Schmo business. Only when we're working. But that was a lot of fun. In fact, what was it? The scene with Perry Shields is my favorite scene out of all of them. Out of all the shorts, that's my favorite. It's just so wonderful.
I bet. And then describe that scene, and then tell people how they can actually see these shorts.
Okay. The scene basically is it's with Jim Beaver. Is that his name? From Deadwood? Yeah, with the beard and whatever. He plays the captain of the ship. And Perry Shields comes in and says, Captain, the world's greatest comedy team is waiting to see you outside. He goes, oh, the Marx Brothers, send them in. And we walk in. He's like, where's the one with the mustache? It's like, sir, we are not the Marx Brothers. He goes, well, are you any good? And I said, good. I say, the last place we played, the laughs were so loud you could hear them across the street. And he goes, really? What was playing across the street?
Yes, I've seen that.
And then the reaction. But Dick Miller is also in that scene. And we all grew up with Dick Miller in the Roger Corman films and, stuff like that. So it was a very special time, and we hated to see it end. But that led to a lot of live shows as Biffle and Shooster. And we developed...
So where can people see Biffle and Shooster? If they want to see these movies, how can they see them?
Okay, this is interesting because Kino Lorber, the DVD label that we're on, we share that with a lot of people, with Bob Hope and you name it.
It's so unimaginable that this actually happened and exists. That it's just
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's
amazing.
What a dream come true, right? It's almost like a time warp.
Yeah, and it's the stuff we love. It was a fantasy come true, and I'm still thanking Michael Schlesinger every time I see him. It's just like you did something that no one else has done, and it's an incredible thing. But you could get it on the Kino Lorber website. That's kinolorber.com. It's on sale.
How do you spell that?
Oh, Kino, Kino -Lorber, Lorber.
Okay.
And it's $7.99 for during the Christmas
deal. Such a deal.
Such a deal. The
Right.
vault.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could get it there. You could stream it on Amazon Prime and other places, YouTube, TV. But you'd have to rent it or buy it. But I suggest the DVD because that doesn't have all the extras. The DVD has the extras, which is like 2 hours of outtakes and hilarious stuff, alternate takes. It's just really, really fun.
I'm going to order the DVD when we get off of here because I haven't seen those outtakes. And I know you did some stuff with Dan Roebuck, who I met.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow he became part of this cast. Dungeons and Dragons, it's a cartoon, and we recorded the very last script that was never recorded for a box set. The animation was never done, and Dan played a character, and that's how I met him. And then I see him showing up in your movie.
Yeah, he's in 2 of them now. He was in 2 of them. He's now Rob Zombie is doing a version of the Munsters TV show, a feature film, and he's playing Grandpa.
Yeah, I see that on Facebook. So yeah.
He's good. He's another monster kid. That's why we love him. He's another monster kid. So yeah, we had great casts. The movies are fun. They're if you love the Three Stooges and Abbott and Costello and Laurel and Hardy, this is for you.
That's so great. What would you like to do now? You're writing a book. You wrote a book. It's done.
Yeah, it's coming out next year.
Costello, right?
Yeah.
Like the definitive tell-all, everything you ever wanted to know, right? About
John Landis wrote the foreword, right? And he said, there's almost too much information in this book, and I'm glad of it.
What a nice compliment. That's awesome. Yeah. That's so funny because I remember the reason I know Perry Shields is because we used to go to church together. And I remember he and his son Craig, when Craig was probably about 6 or 7, did Who's On First for a Father's Day talent show that we had. So so funny.
Well, this is called the Annotated Abbot and Costello. And other than the biographical forewords and stuff like that, we go movie by movie. We talk about the making of the movies. We talk about, how they did when they were released, but mostly we pinpoint exactly where certain things are that you might not understand from the 1940s, things they say that were funny then. And, I guess you'd call it dated. So we explain it. We also pinpoint certain special routines and moments, and we actually go get the time code from the DVDs so that they can go directly to it.
So is this, that's amazing. So what makes you an expert on all this stuff?
Well, it's interesting. I was sort of an encyclopedia growing up. I told you when I was 5, I saw Lou Costello, and that started. But as a little boy, I was the third son. I had third son syndrome, and I wasn't paid much attention to all that. It's a sad story. But I used to listen to my parents when their friends would come over, their contemporaries, and they had the most fun talking about the movies that they saw when they were kids. And they would laugh and they would bring up, memories and all this stuff. And I thought, my little mind said, that's a way to break in. That's how I could break through to them. And I just started watching everything I could. And then eventually I started reading everything I could. And before you know it, I became so obsessive about it that my parents were turned off by it.
Their friends were like, Nick, come over here. Oh, your brother's like, go to the store. We need to go get some orange juice. We want to talk to Nick, right?
Oh yeah, that's what it was. But no, that's how it started. That's how it started, and I just became a nut about it. I still love it. You know.
How do you do your research?
How do I?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a library of books. Of course, people like me collect books usually. I had to get rid of like a third of them before I moved. But you know, you go down and you do the 5-year thing. If you haven't looked at it in 5 years, bye bye. But I still have a great deal, and the computer is a great help. You know, doing research, reading articles, even Wikipedia, IMDb. Even though they're not completely accurate, you've got to double check.
Yeah, how do you verify that? Everybody, this is really important. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. You can believe what Nick wrote.
Yeah.
That is absolutely, true. But
it's like Will is 82 years old, right?
Well, we're hoping to fix that. We're hoping to. Yeah, but, Will had several imaginary histories, personal histories. So it kind of generated this himself, right? With Elmo Aardvark is something I'll have to bring Daryl and Ashley on, or Daryl Van Sitters on, to talk about Elmo Aardvark. And Phil Lawler helped write that too. But that whole idea of this cartoon character, Snappy Toon. I mean, Snappy Toons, what a great name. I mean,
it's Will. It's Will.
I think every company in the United States should have gone to Will to create names and slogans for their companies, because
I would have called this company Goodwill.
Because
that's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Unabashed. I mean, Goodwill.
Wow.
Just an adorable human being.
So what was the last show you guys did together?
I was actually looking at pictures from it the other day. We did it was a Christmas show. We did a Christmas show at the Coffee Gallery backstage, which was our little home. And we did a original radio play by Michael Schlesinger called the Hanukkah Carol. And I played about 100 characters. I played all the celebrity voices.
You do some for us. People, you are really, I mean, Will did a lot of impersonations, but I know you're way beyond. I mean, you got a bazillion more. Who are some of your favorite people you like to impersonate?
Oh, let's see. Cary Grant was always a big one for me. Excuse me. So he would be like, as I'm older, it's the older Cary Grant. You know what I mean? I can't go back to the younger one because of my voice now. But he always talked like this. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, there's a body in the window seat. Come here, darling.
You look like him when you do it too. Oh my gosh, I'm eating this up. Keep going.
I do a lot of them in the Biffle and Shooster shorts. It's like, you dirty rash. Hello, Jocko. I do whatchamacallit. I do William Demarest and Fred McMurray in My Three Sons.
Okay.
Steve, if Chip tells you I hit him in the nose, don't listen to him.
That's all right, Charlie. What's for breakfast? Oh, gosh. What else? What did I do?
Who did you have in the Hanukkah Carol that you had to...
Oh, at one point, I was doing...
I'm sure Jimmy Stewart must have been in there somewhere.
Jimmy, I actually did, at the beginning of the pandemic, I did a radio play for an actual production company. And it was the story of, based on a true story, where Jimmy and his wife, Gloria, got involved in transporting this like monkey's paw into the United States. And it was like illegal. And there was another faction trying to get it. And apparently it really happened.
What do you want with a monkey paw?
Something, yeah, it was something like that. Like a monk. It was, in fact, it was. I believe it was. But it was some ceremonial thing, and some people wanted it back. And anyway, that was a big, people were writing me, about it. Oh my God, not only was it a good Jimmy Stewart, but the acting and blah, blah, blah. If they knew that I grew up with old radio, listening to old radio shows and listening to Basil Rathbone read Edgar Allan Poe and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, it started me reading out loud when I was a kid because I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear it, So I started very young doing that, doing audiobooks. I'm up about 250 books, audiobooks for that company, radioarchives.com.
Oh.
And that's Will is responsible for that.
How so?
I love when you speak Asian.
Thank you. Sarah.
Arigato gozaimasu. What was I saying? We look like those things on the desk, the birds.
Yep.
Will,
yes.
Do you remember Will's friend Westy?
Yeah.
Played the bass.
And
when Westy became ill, he was supposed to play Will's sidekick in a Cactus County cowboy radio show, written by a guy named, funnily enough, Roger Rittner. And so he had me come in, and I played against June Foray. We were the comedy relief, and Roger Rittner sent something about me or whatever, and hired me on the spot. Said, "Would you mind coming to the studio? Blah blah blah, and we'll do an audiobook." And that led to 10 years of audiobooks.
So, are they a certain kind of book that you would read?
Yes, they were actually, again, niche things. They were pulp novels from the 30s and 40s. So I would do this character called the Spider. And then I did a World War I Flying Aces adventure stories called G8. And, it's so much fun because you can, there was one scene I remember in the G8 series where a British soldier was talking to a Japanese soldier who was talking to a German soldier, and then the American soldier. So it was like the UN, having a meeting. But it was such a challenge, and it was so much fun. I got to use my dialects. And
did you ever have like a regular voiceover career here in LA? Did you do commercials and voiceover?
I started in Miami. There was an advertising agency called GS&B, and they were very big, and they had all the DeBartolo malls. There were like 80 malls around the country, and we would do commercials for all of those and other things. So I came from, my God, I must have done like 300 commercials for them before I moved to LA and New York. I'm from New York, but I lived in Florida at the time. But, I've always done voice work, always. I don't know.
Oh, so we could still hear you somewhere, probably.
It's floating around somewhere, who knows,
The stuff we do never really disappears, does it? It's all out somewhere, just like this show. Because of what you just mentioned, I'm going to send you a link, and all y'all out there can check it out. One of the first things I directed was for a company that no longer exists called Audible Scripts, who they purchased a script by a guy. It was supposed to be an animated film. And so the director asked me to direct it, and it's called Rex Tanner and the Sword of Damocles. And it is in that same, if I had known you, you would have been in the cast at the time. You're probably traveling. And it's got that kind of crazy style, that sort of camp attitude. And Audible Scripts, the idea was we have a narrator who's reading all the stage directions, and then you hear the actors, and it's just reading the screenplay. And my crew of one here,
hi crew.
He actually did the sound effects. I mean, it could have had more, but it wasn't really part of the job. But when you get into something and you just want to make it better, so he did as much as he could at the time to add sound effects. But I think I want to hear what you think about it. The guy who wrote it, his name's Olufemi oh gosh, what's his last name? Olufemi. It's his first name.
Tsunami or something? No.
Anyway, I'll think of it. I usually know his name. He wrote like 4 other scripts too. I'd love to produce them. I said, this should be graphic novels. Like what you were doing could have been graphic novel pictures, right?
Yeah.
So for those people who don't know, like me, where does that word pulp come from? What does it actually refer to?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I had thought about that, and you realize that paper comes from wood pulp, and these magazines were all over the place. They were such big sellers, and there were so many different kinds that pulp is a sort of a general way to describe them, you know, because they used a lot of paper on pulp on those novels.
So they're novels, not just like magazines or comic books, or are they?
Well, they would be serialized in magazines, and then some were released, you know, separately as separate entities. But I found out because I wasn't into this until I started doing them myself. But I found out that they have a huge audience. This guy has been in business for years selling these things, and not just the audiobooks, but, you know, the actual books themselves, or to your Kindle, or, you know, any of those things. It's just amazing.
That's
People love it.
It goes to Kindle. It can't be pulp anymore.
That's true. What would you call it?
Kindling?
You must be kindling. Are you kindling me?
I guess.
You're wallowing in your glory. Look at you.
Well, if I get the last pun in, I think I should maybe call it a day here, because
now that you got that joke out. Wow.
I got that out. It's so much fun. Is there you're going to be going to Europe, though. I want to hear about that. You're going to Europe to do some sort of big deal thing. Tell us about that.
Well, since the pandemic started back around March of 2020.
I think the pandemic started with the flu. I'm putting it on record here. I think the pandemic started with the regular flu and just grew from there. So we've been pandemized for a long time. Sort of a flu group.
But I met in a Facebook group, one of my nostalgia movie things. I met a young lady who lives in England, in Surrey, and we started talking every single day. I just talked to her today. We have not missed a day in over a year and a half now, or almost a year and a half. No, more. And so I'm going to actually meet her in person in England. And then we're going up to Scotland to stay with some friends of mine and see Glasgow and Edinburgh and the Highlands and all that. And our plan was to go to Switzerland, to go to Chaplin's home, which is now a museum.
To enjoy the full episode, please support us at patreon.com/tellyoulater. Thanks a lot.
Pretty soon you're going to be back on stage. This is not the end, my friend, because you know, once you're on Candid Conversations with Katie, the sky's the limit. You know that. There's nowhere to go but up from here.
Tell you later.
Tell You Later is a Patreon-driven entertainment show. So what are you waiting for? Come on over and join us at patreon.com/Tell You Later.
I didn't wink or nod or nudge too slightly. But still, somehow, you up and guess my inclination. 'Cause I never said yes, I never said no.
Are they done yet? If so, let's watch this episode again. Arr!